Cercle Brugge Koninklijke Sportvereniging is a Belgian professional football club based in Bruges. Cercle have played in the Belgian Pro League since the 2003 Euro 04 season, having previously spent several years in the Belgian Second Division following relegation in 1997. Their matricule is the now degree 12. The club play home games at the Jan Breydel Stadium, which they share with fierce rivals Club Brugge. Cercle Brugge won their first national title in 1911, and won two more titles before the Second World War. The side also won the Belgian Cup in 1927 and in 1985, and have represented Belgium in European tournaments on several occasions. History. Early years. Cercle Brugge was founded on April 9, 1899 as Cercle Sportif Brugeois by former students of the St. Francis Xavier Institute, colloquially known as de Frères in Bruges. Originally, the organization focused on 5 sports: football, cricket, lawn tennis, running and cycling. Cercle Brugge became a member of the Royal Belgian Football Association in 1900 and were awarded matricule number 12. The same year the club moved from their football field in St. Michael's, which was owned by de Frères, to a pitch in St. Andrews, which offered better facilities and was closer to Bruges main railway station in Tizan Square. Cercle achieved their first success in the 1902 Henri Frères Cup, defeating Olympique Iris Club Lillois and US Tourcoing. After winning another few friendly cups, Cercle achieved their first big success, winning the national title in the 1910 Euro 11 season. Cercle ended a single point ahead of their main rivals FC Bruges, after their confrontation on the season's last match day ended in a 1-1 draw. 3 years later Belgian football was devastated by World War I. Cercle lost 2 first-team players, Louis Baez and Joseph Everard, and their stadium and facilities sustained heavy damage. Former player Alphonse Six also lost his life. Rebuilding. Cercle resumed competitive football in 1919 with an almost completely new team. Louis Suarez was the only player to remain in the team from before the war. Expectations were low, but the club finished third in the league. In 1921 the club raised a monument in remembrance of those affiliated with Cercle who had died in WWI. The unveiling was marred by tragedy, when a biplane scheduled to fly over the stadium as a tribute crashed, killing its 2 passengers. The monument still exists and now stands in front of the Jan Breydel Stadium. In 1923 Cercle extended their stadium facilities again, moving 100 meters from their old pitch to a newly built stadium. This ground, later named the Edge de Smeet Stadium, became Cercle's home for more than 50 years. 2 national titles. In 1924 the club changed its name from Cercle Sportif Brugeois to Royal Cercle Sportif Brugeois. The club embarked on a successful period, led by 2 key players, Belgian record international Florimond van Ham and player-coach Louis Suarez. Cercle led the league midway through the 1925 Euro 26 season, but player injuries led to poor results that saw them finish in 5th place. Several important players left Cercle after this season, leaving hopes low for the 1926 Euro 27 campaign, but the year saw Cercle achieve their second national championship on the penultimate matchday with a thrilling 5 Euro 6 win over daring Bruxelles. The victory was overshadowed by 2 deaths at the club a few months earlier: Albert van Coyle, who had succumbed from injuries sustained in a match against US Tourcoing, and former chairman René Copyright de Pialet, who died from pneumonia which he had caught during Van Coyle's funeral. In 1928 goalkeeper Robert Breit emerged as a new star at Cercle. The player, who had only switched from the outfield to goal after an illness, went on to spend his whole career at Cercle, later becoming chairman. Cercle made a slow start to the 1929 Euro 30 season, entering the mid-season winter break in 6th place and 7 points adrift of leaders Antwerp. Nonetheless, by the closing weekend of the season they had narrowed the gap to a single point. The final game saw them score a 4 Euro 1 victory at home to Lias SK. The side then faced an anxious wait for the result of Antwerp against 10th-placed Standard Liège GE, contemporary telecommunication facilities at grounds being poor. In the end, The news reached team captain Florimond van Ham that Antwerp had lost 3-5, meaning Cercle had won their third and final title. Because of this title, Cercle were invited to take part in the Coupe des Nations, which is regarded as the predecessor of the Champions League. Decline Cercle could not maintain the results of their championship season, ending 7th in 1931. New title aspirations disappeared completely as Cercle continued to finish in the middle of the league over the next several seasons. The experienced players who had helped achieve the title retired or left the team, and the youngsters who replaced them could not match their talent. The downward spiral reached a low with relegation to the Belgian Second Division in 1936. Cercle took the opportunity to make sweeping changes, appointing a new coach and board. The changes proved successful, and Cercle won promotion back to the highest division after only 2 years. World War II in Belgium The Second World War made a regular football competition impossible in 1939. Cercle therefore took part in regional championships, in which each team met another multiple times. Cercle, though, had comparatively little competition in its native West Flanders, and lost contact with the high standards maintained in the stronger Antwerp and Brussels regional championships. A national contest resumed in 1941. Cercle finished the season last but won in the league. Usually this would have meant relegation, but the K.S.V ruled that the circumstances of the war, which limited training opportunities and youth development, meant no team should be relegated. Cercle were made to play one match behind closed doors during the 1943 season, after an incident during a game against Anderlecht. Supporters, furious with referee De Brakel's decisions to annul 2 Cercle goals for unclear reasons and to award Anderlecht a goal that looked offside, chased De Brakel from the stadium. 2 Cercle fans proposed to the Cercle Brugge board that they give the referee a ride to the Bruges railway station. The board accepted, but the fans instead drove the referee towards Zedelgem, where they threw him from a car in the middle of nowhere. Immediately after liberation in 1944, an unofficial championship was organized among the teams who had in 1939 made up the top division. Most teams, though, were unable to participate, and the von Rundstedt defensive spelled the end of the initiative. The end ranking of this competition has not even been archived by the Belgian Football Association. Second decline. And back Cercle could not avoid relegation in the first season after the war and, despite being favourites for promotion the following season, struggled to compete in the lower league, finishing their first season there in 7th place. Your next 4 seasons brought more mediocre league positions, until in 1951 the K.S.V revealed plans to create a new second division. Clubs in the current second tier were required to finish 8th to remain in the second level. Cercle ended in 15th place that season, leaving them even further away from the top flight. Cercle remained in this third tier until 1956, when they won their league. They spent the next season once again battling relegation, this time with more success, though their second season back in the second tier went less well. The club secured only 9 points in the season's first half, avoiding relegation only with a win under coach Louis Versip in the season's last match. A few weeks later Versip was replaced by the Frenchman Edmond Delfour. This replacement inaugurated a more successful new era at Cercle who, under Delfour's command, missed promotion only barely in 1960 and returned at last to the top flight in 1961. Short resurrection Cercle had taken 15 years to return to the highest division, and remained there for only 5 more. They scarcely escaped relegation in their first season back at the top level, thanks only to a successful proposition by Antwerp that changed the way teams with equal points were ordered in the league. Until this season, where 2 teams had the same number of points, the one with fewer defeats was ranked higher. Under Antwerp's scheme, the team with the greater number of victories placed higher. Thanks to the changed rule, Cercle finished ahead of Thor Waterschoo, who would have placed above them under the previous rule. Ironically, Antwerp became victims of their own proposal. Standard obtained the second place, with Antwerp having equal points but fewer victories. Barren years and the 5-year plan This spell in the top division saw Cercle enjoy little success, and in 1965 Euro 66 they finished last behind Belgium. Worse, the team was accused of corruption by Liège player Bruges, who said Cercle's vice president Paul Landsout had engaged in bribery. The Belgian Football Association sentenced Cercle to relegation from the second division to the third. Landsout launched a lawsuit against the K.S.V, which he won in June 1967, but the damage was done. Cercle remained in the third division, losing many of their players, and were not able to achieve promotion immediately. In 1967 Cercle appointed Urban Brems as head coach. Brems designed an ambitious plan to restore Cercle to the top division within 5 years. During Brems' first season the club competed with Eintracht Aalst for promotion. He played one another 2 matches before the end of the season, tied on 41 points, but Aalst with the greater number of victories to their name. Cercle had to win the match to take the lead, and lost it 0-1, but Cercle's youth team coach, André Copyright Penninck, had noticed that the Aalst team delegate had made a mistake, switching the names of the substitutes, which meant that, according to the match paper, Aalst had ended the match playing illegally with 2 goalkeepers. Cercle lodged a complaint with the Belgian Football Association, who confirmed Aalst's 0-1 win, and also dismissed a first appeal. Cercle then made their second and final possible appeal, and on this instance ordered the Football Association to apply the rules. On June 21, 1968, Cercle received the news that the decision had been overturned, and they would be promoted to the second division. In July of the same year, Royal Cercle Sportive Brugge changed their name to Cercle Brugge K.S.V. Cercle were immediately able to play a role in the second division title contest, thanks to a successful transfer policy. After 20 matches Cercle led the league, only to finish the season 4th, 4 points behind champions AS Oostende. Next season, Cercle again finished 4 points behind the champions, K.F.C. Diest. But in 1971, 1 year before the end of the 5-year plan, Cercle achieved their goal. They won promotion and were back at the top. Settling at the top flight equals. Cercle tried immediately to avoid the relegation battle by fortifying their squad, signing Fernand Goyvalets and Benny Nielsen. Early results saw them win points from both Anderlecht and Club Brugge, respectively champions and vice-champions that season, and they finished the season in 5th place, the first of a succession of secure mid-table finishes. In 1975 the club left the Attribution Stadium goodbye to move to the Olympia Stadium, which was later renamed the Jan Breydel Stadium during Euro 2000. Between 1967 and 1977 Cercle had had only 2 coaches, Urban Brems and Han Grazenaut, but Grazenaut left after a lucrative offer from SC Lokeren. Cercle appointed Lakis Petropoulos as new coach, but the appointment proved an uneasy one. Language difficulties between the Greek coach and his players were compounded by player injuries, and the club was unexpectedly relegated. Han Grazenaut was again appointed as coach to get Cercle back to the first division as soon as possible. After only 1 season, Cercle became champions, ending 1 point before SK Tongeren. Again, Cercle enjoyed a comfortable period in the top division, climaxing with a Belgian Cup win in 1985. The final saw Cercle face SK Beveren. The score was 1-1 after 90 minutes, and 30 minutes added time produced no further goals, so the match went to penalties. Beveren player Paul Lambrights kicked the last penalty of the series against the crossbar, and Cercle celebrated. For the first time since 1930, Cercle qualified for an official European tournament. They drew Dynamo Dresden as opponents, winning the home match 3-2. But in Dresden Cercle lost 2-1, losing the confrontation on aggregate. Cercle again reached the Belgian Cup final in 1986, this time meeting city rivals Club Brugge. Cercle lost 0-3, with 2 questionable penalties scored by Jean-Pierre Papin. A next high point came in the recruitment of Yugoslav striker Josip Weber in 1988. Despite a difficult start in Belgium, Weber proved to be Cercle's best post-war goal scorer, ranking as the team's top scorer from 1989 to 1994 successively. Weber was also national top scorer from 1992 until 1994. Another prominent player, Romanian record international Dorinel Munteanu, signed for Cercle in the 1990s. In 1996, Cercle once more reached the National Cup final, again facing Club Brugge. This time, Cercle lost to a Euro-1. Nonetheless, club's double victory meant Cercle still qualified for the UEFA Cup, in which they drew the Norwegian side SK Brann. Cercle won the home match 3-2, but lost 4-0 in Bergen. Cercle then lost some important players whom they failed to adequately replace, and were relegated, along with K.S.V. Mechelen, in 1997. Second Division Cercle aimed at an immediate return, but were thwarted early on. They finished their first season in 10th place, and gained only a single-place increase in league position over each of the next 4 seasons. In 2002-03 the board chose a new chairman, former Standard Boekhandel director Frans Schott, and a new coach, former player Jerko Tipuria, who had also been coaching Cercle's 1996-97 relegation season. The new staff helped Cercle to achieve promotion once more in 2003. Settling in the top flight again? The 2003-04 season saw newly signed players Harold Meersen and Nordin Jbari proving instrumental in avoiding relegation, and the Cercle board chose not to extend Tipuria's contract. Harm van Veldhoven was chosen to replace him, and oversaw 3 decent but unspectacular seasons for Cercle, brightened by the emergence of the talented Stijn de Smet and Tom de Sutter. When van Veldhoven was announced as new coach of G. Beerschot, Cercle chose former Anderlecht player and assistant manager Glenn de Burke as his successor. In his debut year, de Burke surprised with successful attacking and attractive football. Cercle ended the season 4th in the top division, their best post-war ranking. The 2009 Euro-10 season saw them ending as runners-up in the Belgian Cup final, which was enough to qualify for the Europa League. Shortly afterwards, manager Glenn de Burke surprisingly signed a contract with Germinal Beerschot, only 1 month after having signed a new 4-year deal with Cercle Brugge. De Burke declared to the press that he only had some questions about his lawnmower for Beerschot president Herman Kesters, but had finally ended up signing for the Antwerp side. Cercle Brugge appointed AA Gent Reserves coach Bob Peters as their new manager. It will be Peters' first experience in the Pro League. This season also brought Cercle's first European attendance in the 2010 Euro-11 UEFA Europa League, where they defeated TPS from Finland and reached a third qualifying round where they stranded against Unorthosis from Augusta FC. In November 2012 Peters was fired for poor results. Despite attracting star player Degree Johnson, he failed to get Cercle away from that last place and was replaced by Fuchsbach. The team is now struggling to avoid relegation. After the bad results they sacked Fuchsbach and the new trainer was Lorenzo Stalens. Honours: Belgian First Division, winners 1910 Euro-11, 1926 Euro-27, 1929 Euro-30. Belgian Second Division, winners 1937 Euro-38, 1970 Euro-71, 1978 Euro-79, 2002 Euro-03, runners-up, 1960 Euro-61. Belgian Cup, winners 1926 Euro-27, 1984 Euro-85, runners-up, 1912 Euro-13, 1985 Euro-86, 1995 Euro-96, 2009 Euro-10, 2012 Euro-13. Belgian Super Cup, runners-up, 1984 Euro-85, 1995 Euro-96. European Cup history, as of July 2010. Current squad, as of July 30, 2015. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Loans out. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Player history. Note: Please consider that the flags of each club's player not only indicate one's citizenship, but a nationality as well. Equals most appearances for Cercle Brugge equals, as of matches played June 11, 2011 and according to www.cercle equals most goals for Cercle Brugge equals, as of matches played June 11, 2011 and according to www.cercle equals top league goal scorers per season equals, according to www.cercle Names in italic means that only partial match history for the season could be retrieved. Equals pop poll dekt equals, this prize is awarded by the club's supporters, in an election held by Dekt, a Cercle Brugge supporters association. The election is held in 2 rounds. At the last home game before the winter break, and at the last home game of the season, supporters can receive a paper and vote for 3 players. The player with most votes after the second round wins the pop poll. The main criteria taken into account are performances on the pitch and the player's love for the team. One Alex Quetta never received the award, because of his move to city rivals Club Brugge the same season. The organisers of the award concluded that Quetta's decision failed to satisfy the criterion of love for the team. Coaching staff equals former head coaches equals chairman history. See also Bruges derby. References. Further reading, Roland Podevich, Cercle Brugge 1899 Euro 1989, K.S.V. Cercle Brugge, 1989. External links, official website, Dutch, Cercle Brugge at uefa.com.